How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FC, and welcome back to the Deadline with Dayvy, revolving around the Euro Fantasy 2020 competition. Now, this live stream is going to be specifically about my own wildcard draft going into Game Week 3, but you guys can ask questions about your own teams. I remember that someone in the comments of the video yesterday asked me to do a limitless draft. So I'll probably wait a little bit, wait till more people get in here. Then I'll do a limitless draft for those of you guys who are on the chip, because please, 100%, this is the game week that you should use the limitless. So if you still have the limitless in your back pocket, whip it out right now, activate that bad boy, and just play around with your own squad. And then later on in the stream, I will give you guys kind of, if I was to use the limitless, what I would do and which players I would look at. But as I said, we are going to be using the wild card. Haven't activated it yet, but I will be activating it in the stream. Once you've made the team, we're happy with it, I'll activate it, no problem. I just think that I've kind of lent towards this strategy of using the wild card in Game Week 3 rather than the quarterfinals. If you guys want to know my reasoning behind that, just go check out the video yesterday. In my team selection, I kind of went through my talking points and why I think that it could be better. If you want to start a debate, we can also talk about that. Just drop it in the comments down below and ask me. Maybe you say you think the wild card is best in the quarterfinals. What do I think? And then we can kind of have a little bit of a conversation about that. But I'm pretty sure most people have already watched the video, so they wouldn't be too interested in that anyway. But going over a quick review, don't worry, this isn't the team for this upcoming game week. This is just simply after using the Limitless chip in match day 2, what happened. But if you guys want to go through kind of a quick rundown, if it would load. Unfortunately, Mbappe didn't manage to get any returns. I don't really understand how, because if you watch that fixture against Hungary, he literally had about 4 big chances in my opinion. So definitely could have got more points. I'm really happy with Gareth Bale. Didn't go on Yarmolenko, unfortunately, but I mean, it just was kind of a 2-point difference between this captaincy. So it actually looks quite good in terms of that Gareth Bale captaincy on the match day 1. And then the rest of the team kind of just picked itself because Munier, Lukaku, and Zinchenko didn't get anything. So this is kind of the squad that we looked at, and luckily we actually got a direct repetition of the points we scored in match day 1. And if you kind of want to go to the leagues here, I'm currently 2.5k, so pretty respectable, 25 in SA. So if any of you SA and natives are in the chat, drop a how's it in the comments below, and maybe you competition against me in this kind of #1 in South Africa race. But relatively good rank, relatively happy with it, especially after kind of only 2 game weeks have gone. So we can boost up these ranks hopefully with this wild card, and that's going to put us in quite good stead for the rest of the competition. I do kind of notice here that the website is being quite slow, so we'll probably manage to get some transfers in quite early on so that we don't get kind of bit by this whole lag debate. But going over the lineups, we will go over them a little bit later on if you guys haven't seen them. But in terms of so this is the Switzerland versus Turkey lineup, and not many changes, kind of set and dry as what we were expecting. I haven't really known the kind of Turkey squad too much, but I think this is kind of what they've been going for the whole time. Obviously, Turkey are knocked out now, so not much to play for from them. But then with Switzerland, I do still think that Switzerland could qualify, so they still are playing for something. And we can see the usual lineups, and nice that they're not really arranged in the order that we want them to be. But Shaqiri, Mbolo, those are the kind of players you're looking at. Rodriguez, he's on pens if you're looking for maybe a defender that you want to be a little more maverick with. But I am favoring Mbolo and Shaqiri in my current draft, but we will be building that shortly. In terms of the Turkey lineup, if you see a Turkish player that you like here, just go for them. But otherwise, I think Shaqiri and Mbolo are going to be the players we do look at. Now going on to the Italian lineup, and what I will do is I'll just zoom in a bit. The quality is going to go down, but I think you guys can live with that. But we've got the Welsh lineup, which is pretty set. I think Wales also have a chance of qualifying, to be honest. So they could be playing for something in this one, which might make it a little bit tough in terms of that group. But in terms of the goalkeeper, Donnarumma is still starting, so if you have him, just keep him in. But then the defense is basically revamped completely. We've got Emerson, Bonucci stays in here. Then we have Bastoni, and we also have Toloi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that one wrong, so I do apologize for that one. But these two bottom options, 23 and 25, they're both 4.5. So if you guys do want to get a nice cheap Italian defender on your wildcard, your Limitless, these two bottom options are super cheap. So I would go for them completely. Then in terms of the attack, we have Insigne benched, Berardi benched, we have Immobile benched, Belotti's replacing him, we have Chiesa up front, and then we also have Bernardeschi as well. So these three options, I don't think there's too much between them. I'm currently on Belotti because I just think from that kind of out-and-out striker point of view, I would rather have their number 9. So that's why Belotti is currently in my draft. But then I've got the double up on the Italian cheapos, Bastoni and Toloi. Apologies again if I'm mispronouncing that, but I've got these two options at that 4.5 bracket. Won't have Gareth Bale because I just think Italy are still a solid defensive side. Even with kind of these subs, I mean, I can see Wales almost scoring, which is why I'm only willing to spend about 4.5 on them, because I still do think there's a good chance that they actually do keep their clean sheet. But this game could actually be quite an open one and quite an exciting one. So going over my own squad, I'm going to be making the kind of wildcard draft as we go along throughout the deadline stream. I can get your guys' input. You can see what players I'm considering. And the reason I want to do this is that I would rather talk through each position and kind of go through the option that I think and kind of the reasoning behind them. And I'm pretty sure that you guys would appreciate my thinking as well. Apologies for that misclick. So yes, the website does seem to be super slow. So if you guys haven't got your transfers confirmed, I would do it as soon as possible, just to kind of make sure that nothing happens in terms of the overall team and maybe it lagging too much or something like that. So let's go over the starting defenders. So Dumfries is 100% going to be in my lineup. If you guys haven't been paying attention to Twitter, you would have seen that Frank de Boer said that there are going to be 2 changes to that lineup. And what people are saying is that they think it's going to be in midfield, not Gini van Aldum, and then it's also going to be in attack. So Dumfries seems to be starting, so I think that I would go with Dumfries, to be honest. And then I think that I would also go for the German left back, right back, can't really know, but I think in South Africa, I'll probably say Goosen, but I think it's maybe Goosen in German or something like that. But I would go for him because I think he will start as well because he was subbed off on the 60-minute mark. So that kind of shows me that there was kind of a good chance of him starting this next kind of upcoming fixture. So I think that these 2 options are set in my backline because even if they don't start, if they start, it's going to be a great option to kind of go for. Then I'm going to go for Munier. I know that he is expensive, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. We could also downgrade him to one of the other options. The only tough thing is that between Boyata and Vermeulen, we don't really know, or Vermaelen, we don't really know who's going to be starting out of those kind of defenders. So the backline looks pretty stacked, to be honest, and I'm perfectly fine with that. In terms of some subs, I've mentioned the Italian team. So let's go over to that Italian side and we can pick up those cheap 4.5s that we were looking at. So the first one here, 4.5 you can see, and then Bastoni's also 4.5. So really kind of a cheap options that I'm kind of looking at. So I think that in terms of the defense, we set here because if I have to take off my Italian defenders, I can simply just replace them with these 3 stacked options that I still think will do quite well. Let's go over the goalkeepers because that's not the most exciting bit about the team. The first one's going to be that cheap option at 4 million. It's going to be Safanov at 4 million. So I'm hoping that he kind of starts. I'm pretty sure he will because Russia, I think they kept a clean sheet. Or obviously they did because they got 6 points. They kept a clean sheet the last time that they went for. Okay, I just saw a question here. Someone said, how do you fix all those sub transfers after this game week? Huge hits. So what happens is after this game week, everyone gets a free wild card. But you have to use it before the round of 16. So that's why I'm using this and going for players that might not start anyway, because we do get a chance to change our entire squad next game week. So before the round of 16, everyone gets a free wild card. So you don't have to worry about that too much, guys. So please don't make the transfers for only this game week. Don't make it for the future. I can't stress that enough that we do get a free wild card next game week. So don't think about the future too much on this one. And then in terms of the other defender, I'm going to be going for let me just find him here. So Simon from Spain, just because I don't have Pau Torres here. I know 5 million is more expensive than Pau Torres, but I still think that Spain could keep a clean sheet, and they kind of have to because they're not looking too great in terms of the qualification right now. Joe Richards asking, bro, Emerson or Bastoni? I would recommend Emerson because although he's more expensive, has more of an attacking threat. But if you can't afford him, Bastoni's perfectly fine. But just know, with the 4.5 Italian defenders, you're banking on a clean sheet because they're not going to get that many attacking returns. But if you can afford Emerson, I would look at him rather because at that left fullback position, I think he's going to get more chances of getting an attacking return. And now moving on to the midfield, which is basically the exciting part about this team. So first of all, we're going to be going with the man who best kind of midfielder in the world, in my opinion. I think I might have actually just skipped him yet. So Kevin De Bruyne, we're going to go for him in that lineup. I'm also going to go for Gini van Aldum. I'll talk about him a little bit later on. And then we're going to be getting in our 2 German options. So the double up is going to be in midfield for us, and it's going to be Kai Havertz and Serge Gnabry. I just think that in terms of that attack, I don't want to predict if Muller starts. I think if Muller starts, I still prefer Havertz and Gnabry if they start. If you kind of know what I'm saying, I just think that they have a more chance of getting points. And at that kind of midfielder slot, they also get more points for a goal and a clean sheet, etc. So Havertz, Gnabry, that's going to be my kind of double up. And then I'm going to be going for the main man. If you guys do know him, from Switzerland. Also goes by the name of Big Shaq. We're going to go for Shaqiri, and then we're going to kind of replicate that with Mbolo up front. Mbolo I actually really like. I think in terms of stats, he has one of the best shots per game in the Euro 2020s, and against a Turkey side that haven't been great, and Switzerland have to win to kind of get a chance of qualifying, I think that they should do a job against Turkey. So Mbolo comes into my lineup, and this is where we go a little bit maverick, because some people have been mentioning him in chat, but Malin, or however you want to say it, for the Netherlands, there's been some heavy rumors that he could potentially be one of those 2 options that Frank de Boer rotates in that kind of Netherlands lineup. So I'm going to be going for him, and the reason I'm going for him and not Depay is that I think if Depay starts, he will 100% be subbed about that 60-minute mark. That doesn't mean that Depay won't get kind of 3 goals within that 60 minutes. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I would rather take a punt on Marlon for 4 million less, because I know that Depay will be subbed around that 60-minute mark anyway. That's perfectly understandable. If you guys still want to go with Depay, 100%, I'm not saying he's a bad option. I'm just saying that I prefer to spread that money around the rest of my squad. And then with Gini van Aldum, I don't think he'll be rotated that much. Even if he is subbed later on, I don't think he'll be subbed early. I think he'll get a chance to run out the games. And the one thing that I think has been kind of not really spoken about enough is this whole heat wave that's going through Europe. I don't know if you guys watched the games yesterday, but the game in Munich, the game in Budapest, they had continuous kind of breaks for water because it was really hot there. So most of these sides, if they've qualified, they're not going to want to put their big hitters on for the full 90 minutes, I think. I think they're going to play them out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some subs at 45 minutes time. So don't really put all your eggs in one basket and go for super amount of big hitters, because there could still be a rotation. I mean, in Lukaku, he might not start, he might start, but he's a player that I think will also get subbed. So even if Marlon doesn't start, if he comes off with 30 minutes to go against a tired North Macedonia side, I'll take that at 6 million. And that's just kind of the way you got to look at it. And the final attacker we're going for is one that you probably would have guessed because I spoke about him already. It's Belotti from Italy. So with this lineup, we have 0.3 in the bank. And unfortunately, I can't really upgrade any other department, because in terms of my own squad, there's no one that kind of I can buy for an extra 0.3. Maybe you guys can see and see something that I'm kind of going for. So I'm going to be activating the wildcard, and then I'm going to be going next, which hopefully will confirm it. And then, so wildcard active, let's confirm that. And this is the team so far. In terms of captain, I'm going to be going for Mbolo, because I always like to go for more of a differential captain on game week 1. You saw it with Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale's a nice differential because it just gives you a little bit more extra there if they kind of score a goal. But to be honest, I think I'll probably go for one of the Netherlands lads, or I'll go for one of the German assets on the last game or the last match day of the game week. What I quickly want to do is I just want to check, because there seems to be a problem with the subbing. So let me just confirm that. Okay, so the subbing is fine on my side. So I have to sub all of my German assets out, if I am correct here, because they play on the last day, yes. So let's sub out Havertz. Look at that bench. Absolutely stacked bench. I'm perfectly happy with that one in terms of these players having to come on. And then we can also bring Simon on if Safonov doesn't manage to get a clean sheet. But in terms of the lineup, this is how I'm currently going to be going for. I think that it's relatively, it looks like a good squad. I think it's got a good real balance to it. The only thing that I'm kind of not happy with is I don't have Memphis Depay. I understand best kind of Dutch attacker, but I think maybe Gini van Oudem, Marlon will be enough cover for that. There are other options that I would like to have, maybe an Eden Hazard, but I just can't justify that price when I want these other options. You guys can also put your comments down in the chat below. I always am kind of looking for you. So Vernon Fernandez is asking for a limitless draft. So let me actually do that right now for you guys. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of make transfers on this lineup, and let's just assume that I have a limitless chip. So please don't kind of look at my budget too much here. But in terms of I would upgrade Marlon to Memphis Depay because I still think there is a good chance that he starts. So I would go for Memphis Depay over Marlon if I had the money. And then what I would do is I would still go with Havertz, Gnabry, but then I think that I would go with a little bit more extra in the midfield. So I probably would take out Shaqiri because I have Mbolo, and then I would go for Hazard. So let's put apologies for that one. I'm kind of messing up here on my keyboard. Eden Hazard in there instead of Shaqiri. And then I think I would also upgrade Bastoni, and I would go for Emerson rather. That's just because Emerson offers us a little bit more of an attacking threat. And I still think the double up in the defense should be fine. But otherwise, in terms of the lineup, I don't know how much different I would make this, to be honest. Maybe what I would do is instead of going for Simon, what I would go for is I would look at Courtois. Now you're going to see my typing here. Okay, so take out Meunier and then go for Courtois. And then instead of going for Meunier, I would go for Jordi Alba. The only reason I would go for this is because I think that Jordi Alba definitely 100% will start and Thibaut Courtois will also start. Whereas with Meunier, there is a kind of a speculation that maybe another option could start at that left wing back, right wing back. I know that Thorgan Hazard is currently injured, but there has been talks of maybe a Chadley starting there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Meunier doesn't keep on playing. But I think that Jordi Alba Courtois is where I would look at. The rest of you can kind of upgrade Safonov to anyone you want. I would maybe look at someone like a Pickford because I think that overall England have been defensively strong. So I think that Pickford would be in there instead of these other options. But in terms of the rest of the team, I don't know where I would kind of be looking elsewhere. Maybe I would take out the Italian defender and bring in Rodriguez because he is on penalties after all. So, that could be a little bit of a nice option there. But I would probably go with this lineup, to be honest. And I think I would be perfectly happy with it. You guys can make variations. I always say when you move this constraint of budget away, there's unlimited solutions, infinite solutions. So you guys can go with whatever you want. But these are kind of the fixtures I would target. Firstly, Belgium versus Finland. The best fixture, I think, could be this Netherlands fixture. So I've got the double up, Memphis Depay, Gini van Oudem, Dumfries, and then I would also target that German fixture against Hungary. Because although Hungary have looked strong, they've been playing at home. And now Germany are playing them, and I think it's in Munich, and that's going to be quite an advantage for them. And you must also remember, Germany have to win here. And if you watched the France versus Hungary game, you would have seen that France absolutely threw that fixture. They had about 5 chances within the first 20 minutes that they could have wrapped that fixture up, but their finishing just wasn't good enough. And that's the thing about the Germans. German efficiency, I'm hoping that finishing could be a little bit better. So Vernon Fernandez, hopefully this answered your question there, buddy. Just comment it down below if you have a question about your own kind of limitless team, and I'll get to it. Why have you not selected the attacking phenomenon Harry Kane, says Brandon Horn. So I included Harry Kane on my original limitless, and I can perfectly understand if you guys do want him. And I actually have this weird feeling that Harry Kane is going to do well this game week. I just don't know why. I think they're going to play him against the Czech Republic because they want his fitness, they want his kind of sharpness to be up there, and they want to give him a little bit of confidence. I'm not saying the Czech Republic are kind of going to be a breeze to kind of beat, but I think they want him to get a couple of goals. Okay, Zaid saying, Robin Goossens abductor problem suffered yesterday is nothing serious. The player is expected to resume training and will be available against Hungary. So that's actually some good information there, Zaid. Thank you for that. That does lead me to a little bit of caution there about maybe going for him. But I think the chance of him playing is stronger than maybe one of my other teammates. And I think what's going to happen there is if I do go for one of these options and they manage to keep a clean sheet, I probably won't sub them. Captain Belotti instead of Mbolo. Dennis, 100%, that's perfectly fine to go for. I just always prefer to go more differential, and that's why I'm going for Mbolo on match day 1. Because the way I see it is that game, match day 1, it's always the best if you do get a captaincy option, but it's not the end of the world if your captain doesn't end up returning. And I mean, between the options we have here, Kevin De Bruyne, Gini van Aldum, we've got Havertz, Gnabry. I'm pretty sure those are the safe options that will get us points, whereas Mbolo over Belotti, I just think that Mbolo could be in there. And I also just see it as the fact that Turkey don't have anything to play for, whereas Wales can still qualify. So I think that game might be quite close, but I mean, it could also be super attacking and Italy just pound them on the attack. So that could also be something that you guys can look at. Yaremchuk, so the Ukraine, I'll refer to him as the Ukraine striker because I hate mispronouncing names. So Ukraine are also one of the sides that have been actually a real surprise. Been a really strong defensive and an attacking side, so you can go for those options. I just think that game might be quite close because as far as I know, kind of a draw for both of those sides will be quite good. Do you reckon Depay will start? I think Depay will start. I just think that he might get hooked about 60 minutes. Whereas I think if Marlon starts, I think he'll probably play on and then Luke de Jong will come on for Depay. But I mean, 60 minutes against North Macedonia, that could still be some relatively good returns. But I'm preferring to kind of go for my own kind of wildcard squad. So what I'm going to be doing, guys, is I'm going to be taking off this Limitless draft. So I don't know if you're going to be screenshotting, just screenshot that if you are on the Limitless, because I'm going to be changing back to my wildcard side because I don't want too many people to get confused here. So a couple of people are also asking me about going for Ronaldo. So 100% go for, if you think Ronaldo is going to do well against France, then that's a fine option. I just always am a kind of a fixture fantasy manager. So I don't see France as a great fixture for Portugal. And that's why I think I'd rather go for one of these other options. For example, Wales, Turkey, or North Macedonia. Vernon Fernandez saying Mbappe versus Portugal. 100% Vernon, I can understand why you're saying that because Portugal on the break. I mean, you got Ruben Diaz there who is semi-pacey, but then you've got Pepe who I don't think is that fast. So Mbappe will 100% counter them, and I can understand why you're saying that. So that could also be someone that you go for. But I can't fit everyone in my team. You know what I'm saying? Vincent, do you think Dumfries and Meunier will start? I think that Vincent Dumfries will start, and there's a better chance of Dumfries starting than Meunier starting. So that's kind of what I'm contemplating, is I'm thinking of maybe going for Meunier for Marlon, because he's about 7 million cheaper and he's guaranteed to start. If you guys didn't watch that kind of Martinez press conference, he said that Thomas van Marlen is going to start in defense. So at 5 million, great option there. But the way I see it is that if I want to kind of play the odds, I would rather have Meunier against Finland because of that attacking threat. So even if he doesn't start, maybe I can just sub him if he doesn't. Bale will bang, says Kevin Mann. 100%. I'll be fine with Gareth Bale banging after what he did to us. Actually, no, not what he did to us. If he managed to score the pen, then I would be happy with him. But I think that in terms of him scoring, I rather hope that he doesn't, because I've got to double up in that Italian defense. So this is now the wildcard draft. Yes, this is the wildcard draft. Previously was the Limitless draft. Some people in chat just asked me because they're using the Limitless to just put together a draft for them. So I'm fine with that. Should I go for Danielsson, the Swedish defender? So I actually originally had him in my draft, but the way I see it is that I think Poland have to win against Sweden. So I think they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at it, and that's why I worry about having a Swedish defender that I'm relying on for clean sheets. Perisic. So Perisic against Scotland. So it's a little bit of a tough one because I can understand it, to be honest, because Scotland have to score, have to win to go through. So with them against Croatia probably going to favor the counter-attack. But I just think at 8.5, I can't really fit him in at the moment. If you guys can fit him in, then that should be a cool move. I guess what I could do is upgrade Gini van Oudem to him and downgrade Munier to for Marlon. But I just favor Gini in this North Macedonia fixture. I think it's a great fixture. But, I mean, if you want to go for him as a day 3 captain, as you're mentioning, we can actually go through the captains here. So on day 2, I think it will be someone like a Belgium captain, a Netherlands captain. On day 3, I can understand what you're saying there if you want a Croatia captain. And then on day 4, it's probably going to be a German captain. I just don't know. I don't really like to think of it as going for a captaincy option because I like to think that all my options would return. How's it, Lunatic, Yamalenko or Perisic? I would go for Perisic in that situation, Nico. I think that's almost a no-brainer for me. You've got the description as Gameweek 2, says Harry Davis. So Harry, just for you, brother, I will edit that. I do appreciate that one. I don't think many people would have seen that. So thank you, Harry. It has been updated. So hopefully it is showing. Brighton, Alex. Hopefully that is Brighton. I think so. I can slightly see the Brighton shirt in your profile picture. Will Boyata start? So for me, Boyata and Denea, I don't know if Denea is injured. I think he actually might be now that I think about it. But Boyata, Denea, it's a 50-50. I mean, at 4.5, can't go wrong with the Belgium defender. I think it's basically a guaranteed clean sheet for me. So at 4.5, you just can play him and hope for the best. You can always just sub him. Dennis says, prefer Belotti captain. If you prefer him, 100% go for him. I just always like to go a little bit more differential on match day 1. Similar to like last week with going for Gareth Bell on the first match day. Belotti or Mbolo, that's a really tough one to go by because I think both strikers will do well. But I think I have to go with Mbolo. What I would do is if you have an Italian midfielder, go for Mbolo. But if you have Shaqiri, rather go for Belotti. Hazard and Marlon or Depay and Kimmich. So I think Kimmich is a midfielder, so I prefer Hazard and Marlon then. Will Wijnaldum play? I think Gini will play. I think the chance of Gini starting is higher than the chance of Depay starting because I think at that midfield, there's not that many options maybe at that slot maybe that Gini plays, whereas up front, they've got Marlon, they've got Luke de Jong, they've got some other guys that can play there. So I'm kind of hoping that Gini plays, and I think that he will. I think the majority of the big hitters will be sub 60 minutes anyway. So like a Kevin De Bruyne, he'll be sub 60 minutes. Gini van Oudem probably 60. Depay 60. Lukaku 60. Maybe even the German assets if they've wrapped it up. But I just don't know. Gnabry and Lukaku or De Bruyne and Thomas Muller. On paper, I would go with De Bruyne and Muller because there's some speculation about Lukaku and him starting. And you don't really want to spend that much money there, Savage, on a player that is not guaranteed to start. Thoughts on Rodriguez? I really like him at 5.5. If you want to go for like a Swiss defender, that's perfectly fine. And at 5.5 is on penalties. So what more can you kind of ask for? How about Schick inform striker? So the only thing about him is that he is playing England, and England have been defending well. So that's why I'm a little bit skeptical about him. I like the team. Let's go. So that is true. Hopefully you guys do like the team, but I'm pretty sure there'll be some of you. Zaid saying Dayvy on Twitter at Mechanism has a updated list of injury players in the Euros. It was on his pin post. Okay, thank you for that. I think that's going to be quite useful. Chiesa or Belotti captain? Chiesa only has to score 1 to score him, not score 2. Not sure, mate. So if you kind of already leaning towards going for Chiesa, I would just do that. On game week 1, I would probably go more differential. So as you've mentioned there, the midfielders score more points than an attacker. So you've kind of worded itself to you. No day 3 captain, says Mark Ainsworth. So Mark, I can understand what you're saying there about like increasing the chances of your captaincy. But I think between like Mbolo, Kevin De Bruyne, Gini van Oudem, and then going for one of Havertz and Gnabry, I think there should hopefully be a captaincy shout in there. So maybe the safe option is to go for a Perisic, but I think in terms of my kind of thought, I think that going with these options is maybe more sensible in my opinion. And I would like to go with Perisic, but I can't afford him right now. And I still want to keep Gini van Oudem. So maybe if I could afford to upgrade Shaqiri to Perisic, somehow then I could maybe fit him in. But I think in terms of the money I have, I would have to find about 1.2 So that would mean that I would downgrade one of my more expensive options. Maybe downgrading a Simon to a cheaper option and then downgrading a Mounier. But right now, I think that these players have a better chance of maybe scoring. So I can understand, like, if you guys can't afford Perisic in your current draft, or maybe an England player, like if you're an England fan and you're really favoring Harry Kane, Mason Mount. I think Jack Grealish starts this week. So I'm a fan of Jack Grealish. So if you guys want to take a punt, maybe a Jackie Grealish could be a nice captain on day 3. Apologies, the website seems to be really slow. So please just get your teams in right now, because I don't want any kind of tears if you can't lock in transfers. Perisic or Genie? Kismat, it's a tough one, because I think North Macedonia is probably the fixture that you guys should be targeting, and that's why I've gone for Genie, but I can understand Perisic, to be honest. Where are kind of Croatia on the group? Because I think they drew their last game. Hey, let me just go check the kind of group stage. So this might be like a must-win game for Croatia. Okay, so Croatia only have 1 point, so it is a must-win game for them against Scotland. But it is kind of a must-win game for Scotland as well. That would be quite a hectic thing if Croatia don't even qualify. So right now it looks like England and Czech Republic, but depending on what happens with Czech Republic. Thoughts on Depay? So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, with Depay, I think you'll start, and I think you'll get subbed at 60 minutes or around there. So if that's enough for you, then that's perfectly fine. But I think that with Marlon, there is a chance of him starting, so I would rather go for him at that cheaper price bracket. Stecklenburg or Neuer on Limitless? I think you have to go with Neuer on that case. Because then Milo, I would rather have that Netherlands player more upfront. Lavish, Yogi saying, Dayvy explaining so good. Thanks. Appreciate it, brother. I'm hoping that I don't talk too fast, because I know in the past I have talked too fast. Durga saying, suggest today's captain. So for me, it's between 2 options. It's either going to be an Italian or a Switzerland option. Kind of a no-brainer there, to be honest. But for me, it's between Embolo, Belotti, and then Bernardeschi or Chiesa. So I favor Embolo because it's more differential, and I just want to kind of go differential on day 1. And I think that because Switzerland have to beat Turkey, who are already out, I favor that over maybe Italy. And also don't know about that Italian lineup, because there's been a lot of rotation. So, I mean, I still think they'll do well, but I don't think they'll do maybe as well as maybe Switzerland, and that's why I favor Embolo. But it's a real 50-50 on this case. Shabalala or Yarmolenko, so you have to go with Shabalala. His out-of-the-box shots are insane. So I would recommend him, Eric. But if you can't afford him at 52 million in Euro Fantasy, then Yarmolenko is a perfectly fine substitute. Jason saying Shaqiri or Mount. Jason, I think that maybe this case is siding me towards Shaqiri just because we know he's going to start. Whereas with Mount, he should play, but we never kind of know with Southgate. He could play Harry Maguire at that slot that Mason Mount plays. But I mean, if you want an England player, I can perfectly understand that case, Jason. Pau Torres instead of Bastoni. Spain, good chance of clean sheet against Slovakia. I just have this weird feeling about Slovakia. I think that maybe they'll score. But I can understand what you're saying about the kind of Italian lineup. But why I'm going for the Italian double up is because at 4.5 on match day 1, I can kind of get a good indication there if I need to sub my other defenders on in any case. So that's why I haven't really done that. And I think Italy might have a good chance. Why 3 German players against Hungary? Because I think it's a must-win game for them. And I don't think Hungary are going to be as good as they were against France. And I think if you didn't watch the France game, you might have thought that was a kind of convincing draw. But France had so many chances to wrap that up in the first 20 minutes. It was ridiculous. So I would kind of go for those German options. I see no reason not to. And also, they're playing in Munich. So, I mean, that's perfectly fine. Eric saying, honestly amazed I came across a South African fantasy streamer. Keep it up, man. Thanks, Eric. You might not know my other channel, Dayvy FPL, but that's my main channel. This one is my Euro 2020 and my kind of footballing general content channel. So if you haven't subscribed to Dayvy FPL, that's where I do all my main stuff on Fantasy Premier League. Remove Havertz and get Kimmich and get Depay. So I think Havertz is the one player that I will not take out for anyone. He's the player for Germany that I think will score the most points. So I think that's what I would go from. Thoughts on Gerard Moreno? That's a fine option, and I see that he is 6.5. So if you want a cheap attacker then you could definitely look at him. I just don't know about Spain. They've been playing really weirdly. They've been playing like super possession based, which is kind of expected. But their chances, they're not getting that many chances in front of goal. But I can understand why you would want to kind of go for one of those Spanish attackers. And at like 6.5, there's not too much risk there in that case, Darren. So I can understand why you want to go for him. And I mean, Gerard Moreno, if he does start instead of Ferran Torres, then that could be fine. Chiesa Keegan saying, is he good or not? To be honest, I haven't really watched that much of him, but I know from my friends who support Juventus, I think he plays for Juventus, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's a very good player, and Italy are a very good side. So I think that's actually fine to go for, and at 7 million, that's not too much. Will Munier play? He's kind of a punt for me. I'm almost like 60% sure he plays, but my kind of thinking behind it is that I would rather go for him than for Marlon because he has that attacking threat. Would you prefer Isaac for differential? So the thing about Sweden is that kind of, although Isaac is an insane player, I watched that clip of him dribbling through basically everyone. I just think that Sweden play pretty boring football, and that's just what it comes down to. Marco Foot is saying website is unstable. So let me give you guys a reminder here that the website is super slow. So please finalize your squads now, and then you can make changes later. So I would recommend just going for that transfer you're thinking. Do that sub that you're thinking because you'd rather do that than not have any transfers done. Simon to cheaper keeper, Shaq to Perisic, Hussen to Pete Torres. So with Hussen, Goosen, whatever you want to say, he is not going anywhere, I don't think, because if he does start, he's going to get a lot of points against Hungary, in my opinion. But I can understand what you're saying there about Simon to a cheaper keeper and then taking Shaq to Perisic, which we could do, yeah. Like, let's maybe just play around with the squad. So Simon, who's a cheap goalkeeper that we can go for that has a relatively fine fixture? So Hiradecky is one of them, but I mean, against Belgium, he's not going to get much. So we have Ward against Wales, no good there. Maybe Ukraine versus Austria, maybe Bushchan. So let's just put a 4.5 in for now, and then we can always just change them later. The only thing is Ukraine and Russia play the same day, so just ignore this transfer. But I'm just kind of trying to find money here. Okay, and then if we downgrade Munier to another option, let's just say we need Shaq. So we'll take Perisic in, and then we can afford 5.9. That is so annoying that it's not 5 million on the dot. That actually might lead me to just going with Hiradecky, and then subbing Bushchan out. So then let's just say, okay, so for Munier, another defender that we kind of want at 5 million. I think this has to be for Marlon because at that price point, he's kind of super cheap. And I think Belgium will keep a clean sheet, to be honest. So let's just go with Belgium and let's go with for Marlon at 5 million. Okay, so then we need 0.1 to find. So let's just take out Bushchan and go for a goalkeeper that is quite cheap. We'll say 4.5. So Hiradecky is one of them, but I definitely won't be subbing him on in terms of that fixture. So I think he's basically the only 4 million keeper that plays because all of these other options don't. So I can do that. But I just don't know if Shaqiri to Perisic is worth that in terms of value, in terms of kind of ability to play. And that also means that I'm losing out on a potential clean sheet here. And I don't know if Russia versus Denmark will keep a clean sheet. Get Marshall, Wales keeper. So I mean, I think that Wales will concede tonight. That's a bet that I'm willing to take, that I don't think that Wales will. Thank you, Dayvy. FBL, big fan from Nepal. Do you think Kevin De Bruyne will start? So as far as I know, Martinez suggested that De Bruyne will start. So maybe if you trust him, then you can. But I think that I would probably confirm that he would. I think that it's a very good chance if the manager says that he'll start, that he does. Okay, let me just check this. Oh my goodness. So if this is confirmed, this is absolutely mental. So thank you for sending me this tweet, Zaid. So apparently what's happened So apparently what's happened is that someone was able to photograph the Dutch coach's notes that he's holding up during training. And it confirms the starting lineup of the team. So basically what it says here is that it says that Marlon and Gravenberch are on it, or Gravenberch are on it, instead of Verhorst and De Roon. So that means that Marlon is going to be starting, it looks like. So you can take this with a pinch of salt, but that is absolutely mental if it's true. A cameraman was able to take a picture of the team sheet. I mean, how often do you hear of that? So that basically locks in Marlon into my lineup. So if you want to go with Depay, that's fine. He also is going to start, but Marlon will also play. That also means that Dumfries is going to start and Vindal won't. So I'm trying to look at this and I'm trying to contemplate this a little bit. So Perisic is a captaincy option on day 3. I'm losing out on Shaqiri. If Munir plays, I think that he does well. And I'm also losing out on a potential clean sheet. I don't think it's worth it. To be honest, I don't think it's worth going for. I think I'm going to stick with this kind of lineup. Lewis saying, come on, David, get on the Grealish train for day 3. I won't lie, I'm tempted. So how much is Grealish in euros? Oh no, now I've refreshed it. So okay, no, it actually took fine. How much is Grealish? So Grealish is 7.5. That spices things up a bit here. So we could potentially get a Jackie Grealish in for 7.5 million against a Czech Republic side that I think they'll beat. Maybe we could go for a Jack Grealish instead of a Shaqiri. Usually the only thing that kind of doesn't tempt me by this is that we have Shaqiri that we know starts against a Turkish side that I think they'll beat, whereas we don't know with Jack Grealish all the time. I would be fine if you guys want to go for that move, but I think that I might just stick with what I have for now. Because we don't really know what's going to happen with Southgate. And that's the only thing. If I knew that maybe Jack Grealish was going to play, then maybe I would go for him. Only have one German defender. Wildcard. Okay, so I'm just looking here what you said. I have only one German defender. Guerson. Wildcard. You're saying this is this is your actual team. Shaqiri Hazard. So that team looks fine to me. Are you on your wildcard, Mo, or are you asking if you should wildcard? Because in terms of that squad, I would probably just keep that. There's not enough there to wildcard for me. Do you think Hazard will start? Caleb, I think he will. I think that being Eden Hazard. So Thorgan Hazard, I think, is injured at the moment. Daniel says, is Depay starting? So Depay is starting. I guess that is more important in that phrase, to get starting players. So I think that's basically what I'm saying here. So I would rather go for him. Zaid saying confirmed Kane starting. Check DM. So Zaid, you've been the plug here. So I'm checking my DMs here. Sky Sports News. Okay, so Harry Kane has been confirmed to start. So if you guys want to go for Harry Kane, then he has been confirmed by Gareth Southgate to start. So if you want old good Sir Harold, that's perfectly fine. You guys can go for him because he is starting. Do you have the lineup of that Netherlands? So let me kind of look here for you. Okay, let me just kind of picture here because it's not too... So it says here Memphis up top. Genie out wide. You see, the only thing that worries me now, so the only thing that worries me about this Netherlands lineup is that there's arrows on here. So it shows what their formation is in a variation. So I don't know. This just worries me that they're going to get spooked and they're going to change their lineup before the game because now it's been leaked. But they have already qualified, so I guess it's not the end of the world. Aaron, what is your total? I got 73 and 73, and that puts us 2.5k. So we're currently 2,500 in the world. So that's what those points kind of totaled. So do you understand what I'm saying? That's like the only thing that I'm worried about. Emma Sif saying, can you copy and paste the Dutch lineup in chat? So I can't copy it in chat because it's a picture. But what I can do is I can maybe go to the tweet and maybe someone has posted it in chat or something. Yeah, so it looks like I can't copy it for you, but what I will say, it's basically the exact Netherlands lineup. And then the only players that are rotated are Weghorst and De Roon, and what happens is Marlon comes in and Gravenberg comes in. So that's what comes in. Razine Guta saying, Marcus Llorente, decent pick. Spain need points. The only thing about Marcus Llorente is if he was a defender, I would be all over him. But because he's listed as a midfielder and he's playing right back, I don't like it. Savage saying, good channel. Got to subscribe in it. You got to subscribe in it. That's just the way it goes. Harry saying, I'm 198th in the world. So Harry, I hope that you go on and win it. Hope that I maybe win it before you. No, I'm joking. I always hope that my subscribers end up doing better than me. So hopefully you guys do win it. Dayvy, or post on your Twitter. Okay, what I will do, I'm going to retweet it. I will retweet it for you guys. So just go onto my profile and it's retweeted there. Limitless Kane for who, says Gideon. I would go, if you really want Kane, I would probably go for him instead of Marlon, probably, as long as you have coverage with Wijnaldum. What I would do is I would go with Depay instead of Marlon, and then maybe instead of Mbolo, I would go for Kane if you're going to keep Shaqiri. Or if you're going to take Shaqiri out, then keep Mbolo and take Belotti out. Okay, so Zaid's posted in chat there. So if you guys want to look at it, you can. I'll read it out to you if you're just kind of listening to my voice. Stecklenburg, De Ligt, De Vrij, Van Arnold, Gravenberch, Genie, Dumfries, Memphis, Marlon. That's currently what's happened. Andrew says the site has crashed. So I'm going to just be keeping it on this page. I'm not going to be changing it because then you're not going to see my current lineup. But this is the lineup that we're going to be going for. Will Depay start? Yes, he's basically been confirmed to play. Will Van Alden definitely play? I think he will start. If Depay starts, Gini Van Alden will also play. Is Pau Torres starting, says Jack? I would assume so because he's been kind of their centre back for the past two games. I apologize. Jaden saying, I can't submit my team, lol. Mokka's also saying, website is down. Why do you have Marlon, says Savage? Because he's going to be starting and he's quite cheap. That's like kind of the only reason I'm going for him, is that I would rather go for him and spend money elsewhere than going for other pronunciations. Dutch pronunciation on point. I think it's just because I can kind of talk Afrikaans, so maybe that helps the pronunciation. Ben Stewart saying it's crashed. What I will do is I will duplicate it and then let's load it and see. So yeah, it does look like it has crashed. Brad saying site just loaded for me, but definitely flaky. Horrible. Still got some subs to sort out, says G-Rid. What I don't get is how come the site just crashed now, but it didn't crash in game week 1 or 2. Like surely game week 1 and 2 was like more people used chips and stuff. So I don't know. Savage saying will Depay start? So we basically have confirmed news that he will. If you guys have managed to get in, just maybe post it in chat so we know that the site's back up. Who are you going to put in captain day 1, match day 3? The answer is no one. I'm not going to be captaining any players on game week 3. If I had Perisic, I probably would go for him. Why no Hazard, says Lawrence. He was a bit too expensive for me, and I wanted other options, to be honest. So I think De Bruyne, Meunier, if he does start, will be enough coverage. Will Stecklenburg play? Right now, it looks like he will. So I would go for him. Vincent saying, I can't change my team, Dayvy. Please help me. I can't help you, Vincent, because I'm not like an admin for Euro 2020s. I don't have the website. Callum's saying it's working okay for me. Manas is saying site's dead. I'm gonna cry. Please don't cry, guys. It's gonna be all right. Just maybe keep on refreshing. But I did say earlier on in the stream that I knew that it was going to crash, so that's why I wanted you guys to get your transfers in. But what I'm sure might happen is that Euro Fantasy might give you guys like 5 extra minutes or something if the site doesn't load. Unfortunately, this is just one of those situations where it's hectic when it doesn't load, but you only realize in the moment. And that's why I'm actually quite happy that I managed to get the lineup in. My brother Marata, any views? So it's a similar situation with like Gerard Moreno and Morata. Is they're fine at that striker position. I just don't know about Spain. I just don't know about them from an attacking point of view. Whereas I think like with these other options we have at that striker position, they might be better. Use your mobile data, says M Asif. So if that works for you, then maybe go for it. Maybe look at the app. Maybe download the app quickly and put your squad in there. Because apparently the app is working. So that could be work. And mobile Wi-Fi works apparently. So, mobile app works apparently. So just try to do that. Refresh, like get that download going, happening quick, guys, because the website seems to be down. I think there's like no questions anymore. People are just stressing about kind of what's going to happen. G Junior saying, will Depay start? So it looks like he will. So if you guys do have Depay, want to go for him, that's perfectly fine. It's working on my mobile website, not on my PC. So there's another kind of tip there from G-Rid, is use the mobile website instead of the app or the computer website. What's interesting, Dayvy, is that you're only about 10 points behind me. My rank is 747. So there's virtually nothing in the top rank. So well done there, firstly on the rank. And secondly, so that's kind of the case when there's only been about 2 game weeks. Is the positions that 1 point can get you are usually massive. You'll see some kind of condensation, you could say, or not. That's actually a terrible word. That's like a science term. I don't know what I want to say. Kind of just some like medium term thing that over time the points get more widely spread. I have pronounced that, or I've said that absolutely terribly, so I do apologize for that. But I'm kind of in a rush here because everyone's saying about how their app's dead, their website's died, they can't make changes. Did you use any chip? I used the Wildcard chip, yes. Romelu Lukaku, too expensive for me, and we don't know if he's going to start. Why Embolo captain, not Belotti, says Justin. I favor Switzerland because they're facing Turkey that basically are going to... Turkey are knocked out. So Barker, 100% convergence there. There we go. That's perfectly fine. That was kind of what I wanted to say. I was picturing kind of a graph, like a distribution graph, but then I was saying condensation for some reason. And then Justin, also I'm going for Embolo because he's more differential than Belotti, I feel. Or maybe like an Italian asset, and I always like to go more differential on game week 1. How's it, Bulo? Thanks for joining the stream. You've joined a little bit late on. You've joined Utter Carnage here. Is this your final team now? Yes, it will be my final team. I'm not going to be making any changes because I don't think I can even. I'm not going to go on the app because I don't have the app. So I don't think my internet's going to download it at the speed it's needed. So if you guys can use the app, apparently that works. And apparently the mobile site works. Dinner's saying, who are you going to captain day 1, match 3? I think I already answered this question, but I'm going to be captaining no one because I don't have any of those options. Embolo or Bale for captain 1 game week? Quick, cheers. Embolo, Dominic. I would go for him. Marlon and Wijnaldum versus Depay and Nego. Marlon and Wijnaldum. App not working. It takes ages to load. No Ukraine assets. Dipped out. I think that game's going to be quite boring. Thank you, Dayvy. No worries, brother. Thanks for joining by. Calvin Lou saying, how is it? Love your work, Dayvy. Thank you. Good luck. Good luck to you too, brother. Hopefully that you absolutely smash it in game week 3. I do apologize, guys, that the website is down, but obviously that's nothing that I can do. If there was something I would do, I would do it for you guys, but I can't. So just maybe try and refresh as fast as possible, or use the app, or use any means as possible to change your squad. Harley Ward saying, will Lukaku start? So for me, it's about an 80% chance that he starts, but it's that 20% that's kind of leading me towards not going for him. Shaqiri or Chiesa as captain. I would. It's kind of an Embolo Belotti debate, so I would go for Shaqiri. Good luck, bro, says Will Collins. Good luck, says Avish. Good luck, guys. Hopefully this is going to be an absolutely stellar game week. We still have 1 minute to go. Mock is saying 558 people watching, but only 68 likes. Come on, guys. Give Dayvy the legend a like. So I would appreciate a like if you guys are going to be leaving the stream. Just kind of helps the YouTube algorithm a bit. Brad saying you're destroying. Best of luck. Thanks to you too, Brad. Hopefully it's a good game week. 1 minute to the deadline, says SH3. Yes, that is true. Dominic, cheers, mate. Thanks. Have a good game week. Thank you, brother. Thanks for dropping by. Good luck, Dayvy. Thank you. So this is the most good lucks I've ever had. So I do appreciate you guys saying good luck. Usually it's just questions thrown at me, kind of going before the deadline, but I do appreciate it. So thanks for the like there. Do appreciate it. Deadline is over. Thanks for the advice. Always welcomed. Always a pleasure, brother. Thanks for dropping by for the stream. And that's basically a wrap up the deadline stream. Hopefully you guys did manage to get your teams in. As far as I can see, there's a lot of you that didn't. So I don't know what Fantasy are going to kind of do for that. But I do appreciate all the support. Thanks for hitting the like, guys. Appreciate it. But hopefully Game Week 3 is going to be an absolutely stellar one. If you guys use your Limitless, use your Wildcards, hopefully that leads you to some more points, and hopefully we can boost up these ranks even more. I mean, 2.5k is pretty good for Game Week 2, but let's try and make that better than 2.5k. I'm going to be signing off. It's been Dayvy FC, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.